I think the thing that I love about archery the most is the mental training that goes along with it. It's one of the few sports that requires a lot of focus and requires a lot of mental fortitude, and it's very peaceful. There's so much more to it than just shooting a bow. There's a mindset, there's not a religion, but a culture about it. Dad taught me a long time ago when he started getting into bow hunting, and so naturally we just kind of followed along, and we would practice every single day. Every culture has its own take on the bow, and it's one of the weapons of history, kind of similar to the sword, where it appears everywhere, but is so uniquely individual to every culture. You have the Mongolian recurve bow, the Japanese yumi, the English yew longbow. All over the world, the bow became a tool and a weapon and kind of a way of life.
The bow range was my dad's company that he ran when I was a wee lad. Once we had moved to Oregon, so I was like 4 through like 6. And it was super cool. We had this plot of land that went through the backwoods, through all these different stops, and you'd go and you'd shoot these targets. And we'd go through as a family sometimes, and we'd go and we'd shoot our bows. I was small, but it was still a good time. I like to think I was still a pretty good shot.
So we found out about a 3D archery event where you go through a few miles worth of trail and you shoot these foam life-size targets that was happening. And so we went out and did that 3D event. We had a blast, and I said, well, when's the next one? And they told me, well, this is only happens once a year. And I thought, well, gosh, this was so much fun. I bet, gosh, people would want to do this all the time if they just had an opportunity to. So that was the impetus for starting the bow range.
So I did Boy Scouts, and for one of my merit badges I was doing, it was a genealogy merit badge. And it was asking us to go back and look at the root of our last name. And I was looking back, I was like, oh, my last name's Ivey. It's probably going to be like something about a bush, like haha, funny. Thing is, our last name is actually Ivey, E-Y, and that word is actually a derivative of a Norse word called Ivor, I-V-O-R, which means longbow or LongBowman, which I just personally think is super cool because we did archery when we were young, and Dad did an archery thing as a business for some time, and so it was one of those cool little things. It's like, oh, we didn't know this, and yet it's like still part of us as people, and so it was one of those cool connection points.
You know, I think my favorite part of the bow range were the relationships that it opened me up to. You know, I met a ton of people in the community that I wouldn't have met otherwise. The firemen would come in every Friday morning at 6 a.m. and I'd open up the range for them, and I'd have families that would come. I'd have friend groups that would come out, and elk hunting partners that would come out, and it was just a great place to hang out and talk, get to meet new people. It led to natural heart-to-heart talks with people because it was such a beautiful place there in the woods on the side of the mountain with these gorgeous views. So I think the way that it developed my capacity to experience relationships was the most beautiful thing about the bow range.
I look back at fondly on it. It was like part of the childhood, just like constantly going back and forth. And so that has a nice special place in my heart for that.